Yeah, and it's a terrific film. Hard story to tell, though. The story of Northern Ireland. What was your way in to this particular tale of 1971 in Belfast? What was the door into it?
Well, I had no burning desire to TIFF, to make a film about Belfast and Northern Ireland, to be honest with you. It's the screenplay. They sent me the screenplay. It was astonishing. It was the most muscular, engaging piece of writing I'd ever read. And it did this amazing thing where it trod the shades of grey. I mean, I had lots of opinions on it, but the thing that really struck a chord was this theme about kids growing up in conflict. Kids in conflict, really, young boys and losing their lives for ridiculous reasons.
Can you tell us a little bit about Jack O'Connell, the lead actor in the film? We had him here last year in a film called Start Up. Some of you may have seen that film. And yeah, terrific performance again. He's a great actor. He's going to be in Angelina Jolie's new film, Unbreakable, coming out soon.
Unbroken.
Unbroken, pardon me. Unbreakable is something else. Sorry.
Wasn't that great?
Very different. What can you tell us about directing Jack in this particular role?
I always knew I wanted Jack, actually. I mean, the rest of the world is starting to know who he is, but growing up in London, I saw him in Shane Meadows' This Is England when he was 15 years old. I knew he was the guy I wanted. I'd seen him in a couple of indie things he'd done for television. I'd never seen Skins, but he was in that as well. He's got this, I met him, we talked about it. Even the way we met, it was like 2 in the afternoon. I was like, do you want to grab a coffee? He was like, no, let's have a couple of pints. He's got this old school masculinity. It's not affected. It's just he's got this old school masculinity you don't really see in boys' generation anymore. It's a rare thing. And he's also, it's not just the machismo or the alpha traits that he has. It's the kind of, he's very comfortable showing his vulnerability. And he's got a soulfulness, kind of a depth, which you can see in his eyes. He knows pain, he can draw upon these things. And working with him was a delight, because a lot of actors, understandably, need to hold on to words, they need to hold on to dialogue. I mean, it's very difficult to be in a scene and to be passive to the extent that he was in this. It's quite scary for him at times. But he I hope you think he sort of delivered it with aplomb. He holds the screen, he can hold a silence. We talk about the emotional, plumbing of the scene, if you like. And more often than not, he'd tell me. Once I cast him, he became the expert of the character. He grew up in Derby. The character wasn't supposed to be from Derby, but I thought, well, fuck it, we'll make it from Derby. So he doesn't have to do an accent. Though I hear he does one in Unbroken. And he wanted to be a football player or join the army. He understood the psychology of the kid. So once I cast him, I let him be the expert of it. And he'd tell me, I find that's often the case with the best actors, Once you've cast them and you've done a bit of work together, they're the expert.
Smart on your part, though, as a director, to allow him to do that.
Yeah, well, you only do that with the ones that do good work. Yeah, some actors have great ideas, I think they have great ideas, and they say all the, you can understand, they explain their emotional process, and they explain how they got there, and then on camera, it just doesn't look right. But he just has a real emotional intelligence, and as the world can see now, you see him in Start Up, and you'll see him in a lot more soon.
If you have a question, please go ahead, sir.
Was the British Army volunteer or conscripted?
Was the British Army a volunteer army or a conscripted army?
Volunteer. I don't think they were conscripted at that stage. But you could join the army at 17. As young as 15 at some point, but there were 17-year-olds that lost their lives in Northern Ireland when it started. They changed the law until a few years later.
There's a question here.
The scene in the street, can you talk about the filming of that the first scene?
The riot?
Oh my God, that was incredible part.
Questions about the first scene in the street.
Thank you. I mean, it's the most difficult thing I've ever shot. It's, I didn't shoot it till the last week of the shoot, so it's all hanging over my head the whole time, because I knew the whole film depended on that moment. being believable, people being in it. I wanted to make an experiential film, a visceral film. You had to experience it. It's about the construction of the POV. You had to experience it like Gary Hook experiences it. The violence should smash you around the face as it smacks him. It should shock you, horrify you. It should be ugly. And you should, I wanted the riot to feel immersive and you get lost in it. I mean, on a practical approach, me and my DOP who worked together 9 years, we got the production designer. Once I knew what street I was going to use, we got the production designer to build a model of the street. And me and my DOP, who's in his late 40s, we played Lego. A lot. We played Lego, choreographing, because it wasn't scripted how they get left behind. I had to work that out, you know, how would you get left behind? And slowly but surely you find, oh, what if someone, you know, what if one of them gives off a warning shot? How you sort of bit by bit, what if a kid snatches the gun? That's what peels them away. So, you know, working out where the group would be, how you'd feasibly be left behind. And I don't have to do a kind of movie ellipsis. Like, I don't know, smoke and mirrors. I wanted it to play out. I wanted you to be disorientated, but yet have a sense of geography and see it playing out authentically. So I did it. We choreographed it with Lego because I really knew my geography. And then I think scenes like that live and die on the extras. And people often make the mistake of concentrating on the principal actors. I mean, I spent the whole first day when I was shooting it. I shot it over 3 days. Most movies would shoot a set piece like that over a week or two. We had 3 days. It's indie filmmaking, and the whole first day I just spent time with the extras, and I choreographed them, and I just did it in real time. And once they knew what they were doing, the actors just react to it. So it's just making sure every extra, or supporting artist as they're called now, just knew what was going on and were into it, and I direct them, because if there's 1 or 2 people in a crowd shot that just look unconvincing, it just pops you out.